بسم الله الدكتور.
أبدأ.
يس.
أوكي، خليني أفتح الكاميرا. أوكي، طالع أنا في الكاميرا.
يس.
أوكي، خير. أوكي، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to this small overview about the Internet of Things concentration. My name is Luay Awami. I am an assistant professor in the computer engineering department. I am also the coordinator of the concentration and also the master program in the Internet of Things. So this is a very exciting concentration, I believe, because it's the Internet of Things is considered one of the main pillars in the digital transformation, or the fourth revolution, the industrial revolution. So it's a multidisciplinary concentration, and I am going to give you an overview of the Internet of Things as what it is, and then talk about the concentration itself. So the Internet of Things main mission is to, or the goal is to embed intelligence into things around us. And a thing could be anything. It could be a chair, it could be a table, it could be a house, it could be a factory, a car. So we embed intelligence into things by adding or giving those things the ability to sense their surrounding using sensors and collecting data from sensors, and then processing this data to generate information and then act on the data itself. So whenever you hear the word smart, it's what IoT is doing in our life. So we used to have a TV, now we have a smart TV. And you have a phone, and now you have a smartphone, and of course a home, and now we have a smart home. So whenever the word smart comes, it is in fact an IoT application. So making things almost, of course, there is nothing that can be compared to human when it comes to intelligence. However, we're borrowing certain attributes of what makes a human intelligent. So we, as a human, we sense. So things can also perceive their environment. They can have sensors to give them information about the environment. A human can think and process, while things can process the data that it collects from the environment. And once we decide or generate a decision, we can act. So we can do things. You feel something is hot, then you process it, and then you take your hand off that thing. The same thing happens to smart things. They can sense, process, and then do an action. And on top of that, the Internet of Things add the ability for things to communicate. And of course, this is a very big, it opens up a lot of opportunities. So imagine your car or your phone can communicate, or your fridge or oven or any other device can communicate with each other. So an oven can speak to the fridge. A car can talk to another car. So you can warn another car about an accident that's about to happen, or about that you're going to stop suddenly, something like this, all using communication. So these again are the pillars of the Internet of Things, and I'll leave it at here. So now a lot of data we collect in the Internet of Things should be processed using advanced processing, and when we say advanced processing, we are referring mainly to something like machine learning and artificial intelligence. That's why when you need to build an IoT system, you have to have knowledge from different areas. You need knowledge from electronics and hardware. You need knowledge from computer networks. You need knowledge about AI and machine learning. And that's why we made the concentration to put together all these different components in a nicely tailored way. So the Internet of Things, of course, goes into, as I said, everything that is smart is an IoT application. And there are a lot of projects around us that are benefiting from IoT, whether it is improving the transportation systems that we see, improving the city services, the government services, even your home, making it more smart, more efficient, making buildings more efficient. All these are examples of course, IoT applications. So as I said, to have IoT system, you need many things. And what you see here is a collection of many components that build together an IoT system. So we build our program around these components. So as you see on top, there is sensing and actuation and embedded computing, meaning learning about sensors and how they operate and how you characterize sensors and you know their limitations, and also understanding how to connect sensors to embedded systems, something like Arduino or ASP32 and other embedded systems, which allow you to interact with the sensors, read data from the sensors. All this is covered in the first course, which is called Smart Systems or COE 450. And then comes the networking aspects of IoT. So learning how to use network protocols that are more appropriate for IoT, and how to connect devices together and how to connect them to the internet, how to build cloud applications to serve your IoT system. In addition to taking security into consideration, all this is covered in the second course, which is 454, or which is called the Internet of Things. And when it comes to processing data, that is when the third course comes. So we have a course that is ICS 474, which covers how you manage data, process data, and also extract intelligence from data. So that covers all the aspects about data processing. And the last course shows how IoT is implemented in an industrial setup. So in the industry, there is already a lot of systems which are used and standards and, of course, protocols. So the last course, which is CISE 464, it is entitled the Industrial Internet of Things. And it shows how the Internet of Things is being used in the industry today. So our concentration is open to the following major. So students in COE, ICS, software engineering, electrical engineering, and control and instrumentation engineering. So these students can all apply or choose to go into the Internet of Things. Now, because of the background that's needed, usually the students in the electrical engineering and the CISE, they both need to have knowledge of computer networks. And none of the programs that we have here at KFUPM cover that in its core courses. So if you are an EE student or CISE student who is interested in taking this concentration, you will be required to take one of these three courses, COE 343 and so COE 344, sorry, or ICS 343 or EE 400. Now, for EE students, 400 is the best course to them because it's an elective, EE elective, and it's going to be counted in their plan as a major elective. If you are from a CISE, then you can take COE 344, which we have made accessible to CISE and EE students as well. So whether you are CISE or EE student, you can still take COE 344 as well. So if you take this course, then you can take the remaining courses in the concentration. Now, so this is how EE and CIE can join. Now for ICS and software, they are not they're missing the electronics part. I mean circuits and electronics, and that is why if you are an ICS or software engineering student, you need to take EE 236 or EE 203. And I believe for both, the prerequisite is Physics 102. So this will open the remaining course for you. There is actually one course that the ICS and software cannot take because of this prerequisite. So while now for COE students, they can enter the IoT with no problem because they do cover computer networks and electronics. But definitely, even if you are a COE, you need to take these courses before the concentration. Make sure you finish these before the concentration. So here is a look at the courses. And these first semester students take COE 450 and ICS 474. And you can see here that to take this one, you have to take either 203 or 236. Now for big data analytics, you need math and one of the stat courses, and any of those stat courses will do. Now, for the second semester, students need to take the courses that require networks. So COE 454 and CISE 464. So now, just a note, if you are an EE student or CISE student, and you would like to enter the concentration, you can, in fact, take the networking course during the first semester here. So if a student applies and he has not taken computer networks, we are going to still accept him if there is room, of course, on the condition that he have to complete the computer networks here by taking one of these 3 courses during the first semester. So when the second semester comes, he is ready to take the second semester. So this is available as an option only for EE and for CIE students. For software and ICS, they must take the electronics before entering the concentration, because during the first semester, they need the electronics to enter the concentration or take COE 450. So here is a quick, I'll go over this very quickly. The first course covers, as I said, embedded systems and how they work and how you program them, how to manage their power and how to connect them to sensors and actuators. For example, in this last semester, students use that to build a small system. That is, there is a camera using an embedded system here. So that was an object detection. So they read the picture and then they detect if there is an object in it. So some people make like 2 different kinds of fruits or different objects. You can say a pen or a book, for example, an apple or orange. And they programmed it all using this embedded system over here with the camera. Now, in the Internet of Things, again, students study about different protocols that are used to connect the Internet of Things devices together. And they also program their devices to operate together in to build an IoT application. And in the CISE 464, students again study about industrial applications of IoT, different technologies that are used in the industrial systems that use an IoT technology. And if that, in addition to seeing how, for example, you apply IoT for certain applications, for example, detecting when a machine is faulty or when a machine is degrading in performance, so you can replace it before it falls, and different other applications of IoT in the industry. And last but not least, of course, the ICS 474 covers how you handle data in IoT system. So from the time you measure, you do measurements with the sensors, this is when your data is created. This data needs to be transferred, processed, compressed, or maybe summarized, and you can apply different techniques to extract information from that data using machine learning and deep learning and other tools. So that is what ICS 474 covers. That is all from my side. I hope that I have been within time. And it's now your time to ask your questions, if any.
اوكي اللي عنده سؤال شباب يقدر يرفع يده ويتفضل يطرح السؤال. تفضل مهدي.
السلام عليكم.
السلام.
في يعني two considerations, computer networks and IoT. أريد أعرف الفرق بينهم بس.
Well, the difference is huge. In computer networks, you study how you build networks to connect computers now, or computing devices, whether it is IoT or something different. But it focuses more on the general computing. So the concentration talks about, for example, how you design a network. Let's say you are asked to design a network for your company. So you have a certain number of employees, they use certain applications, and you expect certain load. You need certain services in the network. So this is one course. It teaches you how to build a network. This is, again, more focused on building a network. And in IoT, all we focus about is how you connect two things together, two devices, which is not a network. It's just connecting things. And there they study also about wireless systems, which we cover only as we only cover a few protocols in the wireless, but there they talk about wider coverage of wireless protocols and wireless networks and how they're built. There is another course there in security and management, managing your network and securing your network, which is focusing more on those aspects. For IoT, we only see how we program devices to, again, use those protocols as a usage. So certain application protocols that we use, for example, or how we make protocol. Maybe this difference can give you also an idea. In IoT, you have devices like what I described. These devices are very limited. They have very little power, computing power. They're like not laptop. They're they can do only very little processing. Also, a lot of them have batteries. So when we talk about networking in IoT, what we're focusing on is how to make these work for a long time without running out of battery. While, keeping in mind that you have an application that needs to transmit data all the time. So we only focus about networking as far as IoT is concerned. In the computer networks, they talk about networking in general for IoT and non-IoT. Okay. The other thing is we cover things that's not covered over there. We cover big data, for example, analytics, which is not covered in that concentration. We cover embedded systems, which is not covered in that concentration. We cover industrial IoT, which is not covered in that concentration. So there is a huge difference between the two.
يعطيك العافية.
اوكي، بحكم ما في، اذا حد عنده سؤال يقدر يرفع يده. ببدا اطرح الاسئله اللي موجوده في الفور. Is the concentration heavily theoretical?
Sorry, the concentration? In fact, on the contrary, as I said, and many of our courses include a lot of practical work. This one is an example. So in this, most of the assignments are actually practical assignment. And also students work on a project to build a system using the knowledge that they built. In the lecture, we have a lot of demos and examples of programming embedded systems. So it's not theoretical at all. However, something that needs to be kept in mind is because this is a concentration, you do expect theory. I wouldn't call it theory, I would call it concepts. What makes some people come to me and say, we know how to program an Arduino, or we worked with Raspberry Pi. Like I am an IoT person. I say, please don't say that. There is a huge difference between someone who just knows how to program. You could learn programming in a course. You could go spend a few hours on the internet learning how to program. This doesn't make you an IoT specialist. An IoT specialist understands the system overall and how to make the best design decisions and what are the different design decisions you need to take. Whether which protocol you use, which arrangement of devices you use, how you, for example, in this, we talk about how you write software such that you optimize the execution time, you use as less memory as you can, how to optimize it to use as least power as possible. So all these things are not taught in courses that are just for hobbyists, I would say. So it's not theoretical, no. It's there is a lot of practice.
تفضل سياد.
Yes. Is there a difference between the Introduction to Embedded Systems course in the CO department and Internet of Things? Like if we took this course, that's COE 306, will there be a huge difference when we take the Internet of Things concentration?
Are you a COE student or not?
Yes, I am a COE student.
So is your question, is there a difference between the two courses, 306 and 450, or no?
It's not about the courses. It's about like, will there be a large difference if I took the concentration or if I didn't take it? Like you're saying that many things from the Internet of Things are talking about embedded systems and things like that. Will there be a difference?
If you don't take the concentration, like I can compare three cases. One is you don't take the concentration, but you also don't take any course of the concentration as an elective. So in that case, you are just a COE student. You will, of course, there is knowledge in the concentration that you will not be getting if you don't get. Now, I expected the question is it going to make a difference if I take the elective? Maybe, the courses as elective or as a concentration. If that is your question, then is that your question or am I?
Yes, something similar to that. Like, would there be a huge gap in the knowledge, if I took the concentration or if I took courses similar to it?
So the courses you're taking, are they the same courses in the concentration?
Is it possible to take it as electives?
You can, yes.
Okay.
You can,
okay.
Provided there are seats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So this applies to all concentration in university, and a course within the concentration will be given as a priority to those registered in the concentration. But if there are available seats, you can register. Now, is there a difference between a student who are just COE students and a student who take the concentration? I would say definitely there is. Otherwise, the concentration will be meaningless. So if you take embedded system, you're just being introduced to embedded systems. However, here we take some advanced techniques. As I said, optimizing the software you write for your embedded systems, also doing multitasking in real time. It's more than what's covered in 306. And we talk also about sensors and actuators in more details. For example, in here, now there is something which now everyone is talking about. Maybe you have heard of something called edge computing or edge intelligence, meaning those devices are very limited, but until recently, you cannot run something like machine learning on these devices or AI algorithms here. While a lot of applications do require AI to be run here. So that's, for example, something that is different. This project does, in fact, include using AI on an embedded system. So there is definitely a difference between the concentration and none. But again, you can always take some courses if you want. And by the way, this applies to every other student from other majors. If you have the requirement, the prerequisite, I mean, for any course, you can always take that course if you like.
Thank you, Doctor.
You're welcome.
Okay, another question from the forum. How many students joined the program since it started?
We have had 2 rounds. I don't remember the numbers exactly, honestly, but I think 16 to 18 in the first. I believe maybe 16 and maybe another 16 or 8. No, this round is 18. The previous one probably 16 or 15.
Okay, go ahead, Mehdi.
I would like to how much it's demanding this concentration in the market now.
Well, this is some, a question that's difficult to answer. I know that there is demand. How much the demand is, I am not sure. The existing companies, they do need knowledge in IoT. For example, a lot of our giant companies like Aramco and SABIC and the electric, for example, the Saudi electric company, they have digital transformation projects in their factories and in their companies, and they need IoT specialists. Certain students, for example, told me when they were hired by some companies because they had taken a course in IoT. There is, for example, the advanced electronics company. If you have heard of it, they actually do work on IoT solutions. If you have heard also of STC, have started IoT Squared. It's a company that's established by both هيئة الاستثمارات العامة مع شركة الاتصالات. This is a very new company. It's all about IoT. Just this should give you like a company like STC building or establishing a new company just for IoT. This should give you how much they expect the market to be. Now, all the work that you hear about smart cities like NEOM or even the existing cities we live in now, building the infrastructure and adding intelligence in cities, all require IoT. So personally, I do expect the demand to keep increasing.
Okay, another question. How could I know whether this concentration is the best for me or not?
Well, you're the best one to to basically judge. I can't honestly tell you if this is. I mean, every person should know what is best for him, based on your interest and also the skills you have. I know if you don't like, for example, hardware, I wouldn't recommend you going with IoT. Um, um, if you, for example, you feel you don't have good knowledge of computer networks, I wouldn't also advise you to go with IoT. If you don't like programming, IoT may not be your thing because it does require these. So I think if there is a certain set of skills, if you have them, IoT will be perfect. For some students, many of us try to maximize we're greedy, we would like to get as much as we can. So they say, well, I would like to learn about AI, but I also want to learn about IoT, and I want to learn about the cloud. And I think IoT combines these all together. I know you don't advance in the AI like you would do if you go to AI concentration. And you wouldn't, advance in the cloud as if you go to the cloud concentration. However, and I think IoT puts these at least in one package. It is less than what you get in the others, but in total, I see it as more because you get coverage of all these areas.
Okay. The last question. What is the average grade for these 4 courses?
The average grade?
Yes.
I don't know. I have not calculated it, honestly. But the courses I taught, at least the average is good. I mean, minimum probably have received C. So, but I don't remember the average exactly. And by the way, the students who join the concentration usually are mature students. They're senior students. A lot of them are, alhamdulillah, serious students. So I wouldn't, count on this a lot. Because I may tell you, well, the average is B, but it doesn't mean you are a B student, right? It means the group of students is good, but it doesn't mean everyone in the students is good. تفضل مهدي.
So as I'm a E student, and comparing to like power or communication systems, do you recommend to join the IoT concentration?
Well, we have had many by the way, EE students. In fact, half of the students who joined the concentration last semester and this semester are EE students. Most of the students who joined the master program are EE students. So I think my observation is EE students are very capable. They are, mashallah, many of them are and they have high performance. The only thing I would advise an EE student to make sure he has before coming is programming. Most of AE students seem to be, on the average side of programming. Some of them are hesitant. They say, well, this is difficult. So if you really hate programming, don't come to IoT. If you are ready to learn programming, I am sure you will enjoy IoT. And I think that is the difference I found.
يعطيك العافية.
Allah. And by the way, if you want, I do advise you, and someone was asking about whether the courses are practical or not. Please do talk to students. There are many students, like I have students currently taking the concentration. You can talk to them. For EE students, you can also ask your fellow EE students. Regarding the grades, you can also ask your students. So they may be able to deliver a clearer picture for you than myself. And if anyone would like, by the way, to attend one of the courses, please come. You can attend the course. Maybe this is a good suggestion. I don't know. This just came to my mind. Come attend one of the courses, one class, and see how it is going. We have this 454 class tomorrow morning at 9. So it's a UTR. So if that fits you, come join us for one class.
اوكي. راح اوصل رساله ان شاء الله للطلاب، نشوف اذا في احد مهتم ممكن يحضر يستفيد. شكرا دكتور لؤي، ممتنين جدا لك تعاونك.
الله يسلمك.
باذن الله راح نرفع المقطع. اذا في احد يتواصل معك بحيث انه ودي يتعرف على التخصص، تقدر تشير له انه تابع المقطع في اليوتيوب.
ان شاء الله. جزاكم الله خير. شكرا على الاستضافه، ونتمنى للجميع التوفيق ان شاء الله.
وياك يا رب، تشرفنا. يا من ده.
السلام عليكم.